Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Juthica Chou, head of OTC options trading at Kraken, to discuss key takeaways from the Kraken Intelligence report, which tracks trends in the digital asset space. Juthica, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks so much for having me.
What do you think attributed to the strength in Bitcoin that we saw in August, as well as the large cap altcoins?
Well, in a lot of ways, the momentum in August was really just piggybacking off of what we saw in July when we came off the lows at 30K. And I think I can speak for both the Kraken exchange side, the OTC side, as well as our research, that even when we were at 30K, we never really saw interest abate. And so once we rode off those lows in July, the August momentum was really back getting into a risk-on environment, continuing that trend.
And we certainly saw some volatility recently come back into Bitcoin and the space in general. Do you expect that to continue in September, whether it's August trends or whether it's more the volatility trends? How has September historically treated Bitcoin and the larger cap altcoins?
Yeah, so historically, September has not been a very strong performing month for Bitcoin. And actually, in general, it's been the worst performing month. It's also historically been a very low volatility month. So notwithstanding yesterday's price action, a priori, we might have expected a continued low vol environment. But we are seeing, just based on the trends that we see from customers and what we're seeing in the activity, we are seeing a lot of folks positioned for long-term growth. So on the Kraken side, we crossed 7 million customers, adding 3 million this year. On the OTC side, with institutional clients, our business is still 10x year over year. So even though we might have periods that are quiet, we're still seeing broad positioning for growth across Bitcoin and alts.
And Bitcoin has historically dictated the macro trends in the crypto space. Is that still the case? And if it is or is not, what trends are emerging?
I think it is still the case. And then Bitcoin is still the bellwether for consumer adoption, for institutional interest. The August flows that we saw with Bitcoin up 20% intra-month was definitely a driver for some of the interest in other areas. It's not mutually exclusive. And so I think some of the interest in Bitcoin definitely propels interest in DeFi and NFTs, which we've seen on the OTC side. I would say that we do maybe now anywhere 30 to 40% of our business in Bitcoin, and that used to be 70%. So we definitely see Bitcoin also driving interest in some of these other areas.
And Juthica, let's switch gears and talk about decentralized finance, of course, DeFi. There seems to be a lot of fundraising in that area.
Yeah, there's been a lot of interest in fundraising, in liquidity programs, and innovation. We saw that in August, so much so that I think a lot of people were drawing analogies to 2020 and considering a DeFi fall. And that's definitely something that's reflected in some of the other metrics. In the Kraken research report, we point out the total value locked on Ethereum and Solana both hit all-time highs in August, and Solana about 3 billion, Ethereum about 120 billion. So I think that points to not just the price action, but the continued usage of the DeFi protocols as well.
Is NFT adoption alive and well, or has it fizzled out at all? Have we top-ticked in that market? I think I heard yesterday Kim Kardashian is now involved in the NFT space. So lending to my question, has it top-ticked at all?
There's definitely a whole host of names now involved in the space. We see interest kind of come and go and sometimes abate slightly, but overall, all the metrics point to continued growth and momentum. If you look at OpenSea, for example, their week over week growth in users, transactions, volumes, that's anywhere from 200 to 300%, up to 900% on the volume side in August. So we're definitely seeing growth in usage, as well as large institutions taking larger stakes and raising funds to be in NFTs for the long term.
And finally, let's wrap up with smart contracts. How are they performing?
Continued smart contract growth, as we would expect, commensurate with the growth in DeFi and the overall usage. So a couple of the layer ones that have had really strong performances in August are Solana and Cardano. Solana up around 200% on the month, and Cardano up about 100%. And so I think we're seeing the growth both in the price action as well as the usage.
All right, Juthica, appreciate the insight. We look forward to speaking with you next month. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.